How would you describe yourself in a few words?
I am a cis man, and I like fun shirts.
You do.
Well, you sure put the sissy in cis, don't you? And why would you define yourself in such vapid terms?
Our gender plays a big role in how we define ourselves and others, but it's not something science fully understands.
Science understands it just fine. It's the social quote-unquote scientists that are having a problem.
And funnily enough, we don't really know why I like fun shirts either, but no one questions that, so let's just move on.
Well, your shirts aren't a sexuality, are they? Or maybe they are. Who knows with these people? I'm a shirt sexual, and if you deny my identity, you're a bigot.
He's just bummed because he knows he's a talentless moron who's only one lost fight away from being a barista.
A lot of us may never really think twice about defining ourselves as a man or a woman, but there are many people who do think about it.
Yeah.
A lot.
Oh yeah. Progressive neo-Marxist politicians and blue-haired internet slacktivists come to mind.
In reality, a lot of biological, sociological, and psychological factors go into the definitions of man or woman.
Man and woman are not scientific terms.
Or neither.
Yeah, or all, or nothing, or just whatever. Let's throw everything out the window.
For example, when babies are born at a hospital, they're assigned a sex based on primary sex characteristics like genitalia.
What, you're finished? Well, allow me to retort.
They're not assigned anything, you fuckhead. They're born that way.
Yeah, someone literally looks at the baby and makes a decision. They're mainly going by visual inspection.
Why are you trying to make it sound like every third baby's transgender or something? Determining the baby's gender is a process with 99.9% accuracy. Show me any other process that has that level of success. Not even the most rigorous scientific study has that level of accuracy.
And though hormones like testosterone play a big role in developing the primary sex organs that you have at birth,
Duh.
Cryopodia. It's Greek for duh.
sexual differentiation continues beyond birth, with a lot of outwardly visible changes
Titties.
and awkwardness peaking at puberty.
Thank you, Professor. I'm sure that's news to everyone listening to this.
And these processes rely on a whole host of hormones and receptors and other factors.
Other factors? Wow, you're so technical I can hardly keep up.
That come from at least 70 different genes on different chromosomes.
Oh, 70 genes. Well, I guess your technobabble just totally proves your argument then.
So really, biological sex is not black or white because
'Cause that'd be racist.
there are so many variables going into it that are not necessarily correlated with one another.
Oh yeah? Well, that's not proof of anything. Are you trying to sell creationism here or something?
Which is why there's good evidence to say there are more than 2 biological sexes.
Yeah, because sex is complicated and there's more than 70 chromosomes. That's evidence that sex isn't real. And if you believe that, I got a bridge I want to sell you.
For example, testosterone is important for developing the internal genitalia, but it needs to be converted by an enzyme for the external genitalia to be made.
So someone could have testosterone plus all the effects that leads to during development through puberty and be male in a lot of ways internally.
But because they're missing one enzyme, things might look a little different on the outside.
Yeah, but that still doesn't change the fact that you're more likely to be born without arms than this condition.
The thing is, most people don't know their genetics or what's going on inside of their abdomen, so how can anyone confidently proclaim, well, anything?
Hey, moron! Fucking moron! Are you insane? Well, it's not enough that we have cultural relativism. Now, apparently, we have to have scientific relativism. What is going on?
I have no idea.
When I say I'm a woman, I'm actually referring to my gender identity.
Well, I'm not. I'm referring to your biological sex. And I like biological sex. It's yummy.
You're a dumb whore.
This might be related to or influenced by primary or secondary sex characteristics, but knowing our gender identity comes from the brain.
Yeah, maybe you should try using it more.
The fascinating thing is we don't really know a ton about what influences this identity, like
How about sex hormones, you fucking ass bagel?
how I might say I'm a confident or anxious person, but I don't really know what exactly in my brain makes me like that.
And that is also not a sexuality, you giant perineum. Oh, you don't know anatomy? Well, it means everything between a pussy and an asshole.
There are a few regions in the brain that are different between sexes, including the interstitial nucleus of the anterior hypothalamus and the bed nucleus of the stria terminalis, which is part of the limbic system.
Yeah, thank you, 709.
In men, these areas are both larger and have more neurons in them. And
Well, will you look at that face? She's like, wait, are you saying men are smarter?
studies to date, albeit small ones, do show the sizes of these areas correlate with the gender identities of transgender men and women.
Yeah, dum-dum, that kind of explains why they want to transition, doesn't it? Anything else you want to throw in there, Captain Obvious?
Oh, thank you, Rationalization Man. You have saved the village.
Other studies have found differences in white matter microstructures between men and women. Transgender men who have not yet received hormone treatments had patterns more similar to those sharing their gender identity,
We've been over this.
not what they were assigned at birth.
We've been over that too.
In other words, the sex they were assigned at birth didn't accurately predict their white matter pattern.
Oh, for fuck's sake, stop repeating yourself. You said that just 30 seconds ago.
While there are so many different areas of the brain that seem different between men and women, some researchers argue that there are more similarities than differences.
Yeah, I'd like to know which scientist that was. There may be some differences between the sexes, but we're mostly alike, so why even bother? Fuck it. It's not like I became a scientist to study shit or anything. No, I became a scientist to spout political propaganda.
Your Jedi mind tricks won't work here.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
And there isn't really a typical male or female brain.
What? You just spent half this video explaining that there's all these differences between the brains of men and women, and now you're like, nope, they're all the same. Stop contradicting yourselves.
But given that all of us have incomplete information on our true biological sex,
No, we don't. Like I said, 99.9% accuracy. You're more likely to be born a crack baby than to be born into the wrong sex.
and that we don't fully understand the neuroscience behind gender,
Or any complex trait like why you like this fun shirt.
Will you give it a rest with a shirt? We don't have a scientific explanation why people like boy bands either. Are you gonna bitch about that too?
True. It doesn't make sense to burden some individuals with proving how they feel.
Nobody cares how they feel. You can identify as a garden gnome for all I care. But let's be honest here, you probably do.
Gotta see if our patient's a unicorn or just a slutty horse.
Because scientifically, none of us can explain why we feel like a man or a woman.
Because science doesn't care about your fifis.
And as none of us can say that,
Say what?
by making a minority of people try to prove that with a burden of proof, we're causing a lot of health problems.
Yeah, you're causing a lot of health problems by convincing completely normal teenagers that it's trendy to be transgender. They don't really care about the sex aspect of it. They just want to piss off their parents. 20 years ago, they would have been punk rockers sticking safety pins in their ears. But now, they gotta up the game. I just feel sorry for them when they realize that it's time to grow up.
The goal of this game is to not kill you.
For example, the suicide attempt rate among transgender people ranges from 32 to 50% in a number of different countries, whereas the overall population average in the US is estimated around 0.04 to 1.1%.
Yeah, you think that might have something to do with the fact that a lot of these people changed their minds and realized that this was the biggest mistake of their life?
Both of these numbers are too high.
Oh, are they now? How about the fact that men are 4 times as likely to kill themselves compared to women? We're not going to talk about that, are we?
But the stats for transgender people are particularly so.
Yeah, because we only care about minorities now. If it affects a lot of people, why even bother?
Especially when recent studies show that these numbers decrease when transgender people are socially accepted.
What are you talking about? It's completely socially acceptable. Have you seen how much people love feminine penis these days?
Well, there are, of course, a lot more scientific questions to ask.
But we're not going to ask those questions because we already have the conclusion that we set out to find.
We could save hundreds of thousands of lives by removing social stigma.
I bet this is the way all Twitter activists think. If I could just make one more tweet, I could save the world. Whoa.
We know that science will catch up eventually, but in the meantime,
let's not wait for scientific confirmation. That's just bullshit and unnecessary. Because this is how science works now. Ideology determines what the result should be, and then quote-unquote scientists attempt to prove the ideology right.
and we should all recognize that this is more complicated than man, woman, trans, or non-binary.
Or USB, or Firewire.
And as is the norm in science,
You wouldn't know science if it came up and bit you in the ass.
the more we learn, the more nuanced it gets. And that diversity in people and ideas is what makes this world so cool.
Yeah, but you don't want diversity in ideas. You just want everyone to think like you do. You're a collectivist and you know it.
If you want to learn more about what your DNA says about your sexuality,
Get on your knees, bitch boy.
different than identity, click here. Thank you for watching. I'm sure you'll have a comment on this video, so make sure you leave it below and share the video too. Thanks again.
Bye.
Oh my god, you could not have ended that video any better. Anyway, that's about it. But before you go, please leave a comment below whether you thought it was better or worse that I left out my usual intro in this video. Just want to get a feel for what you actually prefer. So, with that said, thanks for watching and see you next time.